Welcome back, y'all. We are here. Another episode of 100%, maybe.
You sound depressed.
I know.
Is it too much Ecclesiastes?
No.
We've turned a 2-week sermon series into 4 weeks.
4 weeks. And so we're going to keep going 4 more weeks. Ecclesiastes, we're going to redo it.
Extend it out.
Wouldn't that be something?
Oh, it'd be something.
Yeah. So a lot of you guys, if you're checking us out on YouTube in video form, I know a lot of you listen on audio form. We had a new subscriber yesterday. I know if you guys listen on YouTube and watch. Pastor Scott is now a subscriber, finally.
I didn't know how to, I'm excited.
It's
It
so
took
exciting.
a person that's younger than I am to show me how to
the
actually
lead pastor
subscribe.
finally subscribed to our YouTube channel, so that's exciting.
I do listen to it every week, but I listen to it on the Apple podcast thing.
Yeah.
So I didn't know that there was a thing out there on YouTube that you had to subscribe for.
Yep.
So I'm the newest one. Or I don't know, the 1,000
Welcome
cents.
our newest subscriber.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, that was fun. Getting you set up for that. Now you're on. Now what's next?
I have access to all of the wisdom of the world.
Yeah. That's scary.
And I can add my own.
That's scary.
This world's changing just quickly.
There's a thought. Well, today, so we're here wrapping up our series, Ecclesiastes, The Search for Meaning. And it's been 3 weeks so far. It's been awesome. It's been difficult.
For me.
Yeah.
Yeah. People love it. I've been trying to be too creative, and we should just be honest. The answer is Jesus to every single piece of it. And that's what I did on Sunday. I'm like, okay, if you have to leave church early, just know that the answer is Jesus.
Yeah.
Because reading through it, it can be very depressing, because life under the sun and Ecclesiastes, if you live and you die and that's it, it's pretty depressing.
Right.
Even if you have a great life, to know that it's over at some point and that's it. And who knows what goes beyond that.
Yeah.
But that's how Solomon frames all of this. So grateful that we're going to round it out, and you probably won't know what we're going to round it out with.
Yeah. Do you think it's
Jesus?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was kind of
a given.
Yeah. But it's not like pulling in something random to try to, as you might have said, put a bow on it. The truth is, this is life under the sun apart from Jesus. This is the reality of it. And so the hope that we have on this side of it is that this isn't all there is for the believer.
Right.
So it's not like, I feel like it's so hand in hand. It's the other side of Solomon's coin.
Yeah, it's a true blessing that Solomon wrote this book, as painful as it has been to teach, because there are people every day that wake up with a worldview, and this is what they know. They're asking, they have, I believe, God placed inside of them, all of us, the desire to say there's got to be more, but they don't have the answer yet. They don't have the Jesus answer. So what Solomon has done, as we read it, and we're just like, oh, that sounds so depressing. Well, you have to realize this is where people live.
Yeah.
Or they don't realize how maybe depressing. Maybe they bought into something else to say, I have no idea. Another faith system that won't resonate, because it's not the life that our belief and our understanding has given us.
Yeah.
So I think there's work for us to do.
Yeah. I heard this years ago, but it stuck with me. If you're into like apologetics or kind of the defending of the faith from the ground up, and some of those debates that can be interesting, the shift that they've made is not so much to try to teach through creation and some of these accounts. The way they start with people is the understanding that something's not right in the world. The world doesn't feel like it should be, because that's a universal.
That's the
feeling.
question everybody's asking. Yeah. They're not starting, where did the world begin? No, it starts from, this isn't right.
What is going on?
Yeah, something's happening.
Yeah. So it's an interesting place, and I think it's all over this book, which has been an awesome study. I've mentioned I love it. I think it's caused me to look at it a little bit differently, maybe understanding even Solomon a little bit more, like a deeper understanding of thinking about his life and how his life would have shaped what he's writing.
Yeah, a lot more. And David, not as much studying of David, but Solomon's relationship as it pertains to David. yesterday in planning, I was talking about it. It's like a tale of two kings, but then somebody this morning said, no, it's a tale of three kings because you add Jesus into it. So it
Ooh,
really is.
that's good.
It's great. It's Solomon, David, and Jesus. When you try to put all those three together, you have to reconcile them. David seemed to have the heart after God. Solomon seemed to have a heart to grow the kingdom.
Maybe his own, not the
Well,
Lord's.
it could have been his own, or his understanding of kingdom. So to think, we haven't read the scripture yet, but so just carry this thought.
Yeah.
If Solomon thought of Israel as being God's nation, then maybe he deduced that if I expand the nation, then I'm expanding God's nation, as opposed to, but he did it apart from God. Whether he asked God's permission or whatever, it's different. David was the opposite. His heart was geared towards God. And as a result of what God told him to do, instructed him and shaped him, he then went out and grew the kingdom. But because of all the battles, God didn't let him build the temple. So right or wrong, Solomon ends up at 14, somewhere between 14 and 17, taking over the kingdom from David. But he didn't have to fight the battles. He didn't have to do all the things that David did. David had to contend for the faith. He was on the run. God had to sustain him through all of that. It's two totally different kings and two totally different ways of governing.
Yeah.
When David got in trouble, he was driven to the heart of God because that's all he knew was the sustainer. When Solomon got in trouble, he looked to himself for wisdom. And then you get the two outcomes.
Yeah.
One maintained and grew the kingdom. The other eventually lost the kingdom. Well, his son did.
Yeah.
And left us this awesome book because his understanding was God's there and all we got is birth to death. And once it's over, it's over.
Yeah. A guy that tried to figure it out himself.
Yeah.
Caused him a lot of sorrow.
Yep.
Yep.
So let's dive in. And I know you said your group last night was awesome. So wherever, like you purposely didn't share it with me, so I'm excited about hearing that with the rest of the world.
Yeah.
As to how that unfolds.
Yeah. So what are we doing this week?
So we're the reading instruction were 10 through 12, but I'm going to teach chapter 11 verses 7 through the rest of 12. 10 and 11, they're very proverb-esque. So I've listened to a bunch of sermons and read a lot of material. Most scholars believe that Solomon, when he gets to chapter 10, he starts to wind up the book, close it up.
Yeah.
You can tell these are written later in life, feels like. For sure. So he starts to look more at the end. Even the proverbs that he writes in 10 and 11, they seem very random. They're not.
Yeah.
Casting your bread upon the water. That's invest. It's weird to even say that, but it's an investment terminology.
Yeah.
So if you send your bread out to market on a ship, eventually it comes back with the profit of what you've done. It's a risk reward, but he's saying it's an investment. If you wait to plant your seed and you're watching the sun and you're watching the rain and you're waiting on all those things, you get analysis paralysis. You don't put your seed in the ground, then there's no return. So the overall feel of these proverbs in these chapters have to do with a risk reward. So if everything's meaningless, why is he talking about that?
Yeah.
Other than there's a bigger purpose. So it seems like he's introducing this idea of a bigger purpose.
Yeah, and all the financial planners are out there like, see?
Let's go.
Diversify. This is just sage
Quote
financial.
Ecclesiastes.
Yeah, that's right.
All hevel. No, just don't read that part.
No. Just the practical
just to get your
part.
seed in the ground.
Yep.
Even the 11 verse 6 where he says, put your seed in the ground in the morning, but don't be idle at night. In other words, do two different things.
Yeah.
Because your seed may not grow, but if you've got another job, you're going to make income one way or another. And who knows, maybe they both work out is what he says.
Who knows, yeah.
Yeah. Hedge your bets, invest in two different places. And if you want to sponsor our show, right, we'll put your banner, I'm kidding, we'll put your banner right here. Jeff needs a new Mercedes.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Or some more batting equipment for his kids.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's always some funny practical elements to this, a deeper spiritual truth, and then the hevel. So he'll sprinkle some wisdom, give you some good. He must not believe there's no point, which I know we'll get to. I'm excited to get to the next passage, but there's obviously, he's not saying there's no point to your life, don't do anything, because he is giving you some wisdom on, hey, this is going to go better for you to do these things. It's better to be wise than be foolish. It's better to work hard. And, ultimately too, keeps going back to, we're not the ones in control.
Right.
Big difference from what we believe.
Yeah. But it's not a big wide picture. you should do smart this because it's going to bear out better for you in this, right?
Yeah.
Like, so it may be do well here because it's going to impact here, but it's not the span of eternity,
Right.
right? So he's still narrow.
Yep.
If you are righteous, then it's going to lead to righteous living and maybe a flow back of that into your life, but not. It doesn't seem like it goes beyond it. Is that what you're saying? Kind of.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So advice for young and old. So young people. Let's talk about youth versus youth versus old.
What do you want to talk about?
Elderly.
You're young. I'm old. What else?
I don't know that I'm young. I'm middle. I'm right in the middle.
Okay.
I don't feel young. That's for sure.
I don't feel young. I don't feel old, but my body does sometimes.
Well, and he paints a pretty good picture about that in 12. How the body fails.
I'm not there yet.
No.
I do sometimes feel like I can run and then things come undone, but that's neither here nor there. Muscles, bones.
All the things. They wear out, man. They're not made for eternity.
Probably the best way to paraphrase this is you might here's platitudes. Youth is wasted on the youth, and wisdom is wasted on the wise. I don't know if that's a saying, but it feels like it. The people that are wise seem to, they don't.
Too smart for your own good.
I guess. Share it around a little bit.
Well, think about if you look to yourself as Solomon did for wisdom, you don't have a reliance on God that he wants us to have. If you're always looking inward, and this is what he did, and we see this fleshed out fully and completely, and it drove him crazy.
Yeah.
And he was smarter than we are.
And I don't think we're crazy to think that typically in youth, you don't have the wisdom and experience, and you feel like you can accomplish more in and of yourself. It's just a youthful ignorance.
Yes.
So he's just like, don't forget as a young person, be smart if you remember God.
Yeah. Your life's going to go better if you do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And isn't it interesting you can't tell a young person, we can't hear it as young people, be careful. You're not going to live forever, like these decisions. Maybe there's some out there that do, but for the most part, we want to experience, and you just can't really fathom that these things are going to happen to you as a young person. And there's that reminder. I like this, and this came up in our group in the sense of enjoy your youth and do all the things. Try all the things. Don't get stuck in one thing thinking this is the only path, I guess. But there's also the caveat of, but you got to give an account for it too.
Yeah, do all the things, but you're going to be judged for it, which is fine. I mean, because we're talking about commandments. I don't. You can't just go out and drive 1,000 miles an hour on the road. There is always a guardrail that's there to keep you.
Yeah.
So I don't think he's saying go do all the things, meaning reckless abandon.
No.
I think he's saying go do all the things that come along with being young and experience and living to the fullest of life.
Right.
And just know that there's somebody who does hold that.
Yeah. I think I had this thought as we're finishing the book. I really, really believe that there's almost a judgment piece about God is almost commanding us to enjoy life. I feel like through all of this, there's this understanding that it's not perfect. We feel the weight of the things that are not right, and we feel that. But in it, there's all this to know that it is still good. This is a world that God called good. Because of sin, we know the result of that. There's brokenness, there's pain, there's sorrow, there's tragedy. Those are real things. But I think in the midst of that, there's still beauty. And God still wants us to have a good meal, enjoy fellowship with friends, dress up, get dressed, splash a cologne. You know what I'm saying? And it's that picture of the little things in life. And I really do believe that it's almost a command for God to say, this is what I've given you to enjoy. I want you to. Okay. I think it's that serious.
Yeah.
All right.
Of like that's a strong stance. I don't have a feeling about it. Yeah. I do enjoy life. So I agree with you to say that it's a command. I'd have to think about that and process it.
Yeah.
Clearly, it's a part of creation, and God if we believe that God fashioned and molded and put it all together, then it has to be representative of the God that is the creator. So yeah, I mean, there's got to be truth in all of that.
Yeah. So when we jump to 12,
But I feel like a parent that's saying you will enjoy this trip.
I know. There is something like that. I thought I had that same thought.
Yeah.
You sit down, you're going to like this.
You're going to like this.
You're going to have fun and you're going to like this when the kid's kind of
you did
pouting
this
about
to
it.
yourself. The pain part, you did this to yourself.
I think that is a natural picture for sure.
I mean, I think we could probably, if we can understand it, then it's probably not too. No, I'm gonna shut up.
But you come to that place with your kids maybe but you have a bigger picture and a bigger understanding than they do at that moment. You know? Maybe it's a vacation that's going haywire and it's like you're going to have a great time. This is going to be a fun family.
You.
Exactly. So there is that element of you understand the bigger picture of like if you just stop and calm down, you'll enjoy this. And I do think that's the picture we get.
Yeah. Yep. I think here's my and we're way off, but not really.
No.
I think I would back in and I would say if you're the one that says you will enjoy this, it probably is meant more for, you know what, I can enjoy this because that place where you're at, where the kids are, you know, the proverbial, they open up an awesome Christmas gift and then they play with the box.
Oh yeah.
So I think at the place where you're at is going to be the level to which you're going to enjoy, but the shaping should be that it's there for our enjoyment. And maybe it's there for us to be able to do it. So if we're doing something else, we probably need to stop and go, kind of missing the point.
Well, and think about the parent who gives that great gift that sits on the shelf and the box gets played with and you think, you really enjoy this.
Yeah.
You know, I got this for you.
Yeah.
And so think about that in the picture of, you know, God might be like, guys, this is good.
No,
there's
good.
a lot of
That's
beauty.
good.
There's a lot of gifts here.
That's good. Yeah.
All right. Take me to 12. I think verse 1.
Wow.
Kind of keeping on the thread of youth, the excitement of youth caused you to forget your creator. One thing I read is just the very purposeful use of creator here versus God, Elohim.
He uses the word creator. Later on, he uses eternal. So the words start to open up and go beyond the bookends. If his bookends were birth and death, he starts to introduce words. And this is odd because we're still the teacher. So later on in 12, we get to the person that's on the outside that starts to talk about the teacher. But the teacher, even in this concept, starts to carry in thoughts of eternity, thoughts of preternity. Is that a word? I don't know. But before the world was created, the creator.
Yeah.
So he starts to expand the thoughts before he even gets to the end. But it's all painted in this poetry. It was like, if you read it with tone and inflection, it sounds like it just sounds depressing. It just sounds really dark.
Yeah.
You get the sense of Solomon sitting in his palace, looking through a dim window out into the streets, talking about the businesses are shut up and the grasshopper is dragging himself across the ground and the almond trees are in bloom, which is speaking about gray hair, and the grinding ceases, which means your teeth start to wear out, or those that are making corn, grinding corn, or starts to paint this real bleak picture of, it's coming to an end.
Yeah.
So after all that we've talked about in the last 11 chapters, time, possessions, pleasures, go down the whole list. Now he's getting to the place to where he says a bird shows up and you spring up.
Yeah.
Right? Like what was used to be the beautiful pleasure of life is now like, oh, there's a bird.
Yeah.
Because life has become so bleak that when a bird shows up, it's just the most exciting thing ever. That's the picture he starts to paint in 12. It's pretty hard to reconcile.
Well,
but some people, you may be there today where you're just like, yeah, Scott, welcome to the party, buddy. Yeah.
Well, think about how he starts the book of talking about the cycles of the earth.
Yeah.
And now he's talking about this is the cycle of a physical life.
Yeah.
And it comes to an end. So it's a perfect parallel to, he's talking about under the sun, the system we're in, and now he's talking about here's our physical selves, and this is the cycle we're all in. And it's interesting to think, this goes along with what you said about the wise and the foolish. I know this week you said that was your favorite part, maybe in the whole book.
Yeah.
You're going to be both. Think about the young and the old. You're going to be both.
You know,
God willing, we'll be old, but as a youth, we talked a little bit, excuse me, about that in our group last night of That cycle is interesting. The generational cycle of being young, will be old one day, speaking to the youth again. And that's kind of the thread we mentioned, is the eternal nature of Jesus, and now the good news and what we knew continues on, and that can have the lasting legacy that we don't physically.
Right. Yeah. And then the things that we leave behind look vastly different. Like the shaping of the spirit, the shaping of the values of the heart, of the family, of the name that you leave behind. I mean, he even says some of that stuff, but those things have an impact that go beyond. They may long forget us, but the eternal nature of what we've done should, and it's even broader beyond just, sometimes we just think our family, but the work we're doing in the kingdom goes beyond establishing kingdom. Solomon was building the kingdom of Israel, and it would expand and it would contract, and it was always, and a lot of times the deals he made were not even in keeping with who God was. But here we have the ability to expand kingdom by bringing people in, changing not just their life, but maybe their family's life, and that could be for generations. God knows how long,
right?
Because of the eternal key of who Jesus is.
Yeah. So what do we do with this, man?
Well, so when we started all of this, we started with the end in mind. So when you get to that verse 13 in chapter 12, and he talks about the end of the matter, fear God, keep his commandments. This is the duty of everyone, for God will bring every deed into judgment. Even in those terms, like that's the key. That's the key that he offers at the end, which still, when you read it, it almost seems past tense. Now he's telling you to fear God and keep his commandments here and now.
Yeah.
Doesn't come along with a blessing per se, but he's just said it's all of it. He's saying, go ahead, do this, and just know that God's going to judge you. So it's still the bookend, right? So it's a wider understanding of God's got something to say about this. But then what you have to do is, what does it mean he's going to bring it into judgment? So there is an eternal nature that comes about at the end. It's not clear. It's not much of it, but you're going to be judged. Doesn't tell you what that judgment looks like. Doesn't tell you, right? But it's a key that caused you to go back into life. You almost can't go back into Ecclesiastes because you're just like, well, it's a different premise. The premise changed. It's a God view when everything else was a world view.
Yeah. Does it seem incongruent?
Yeah, absolutely does.
Okay.
And that's why biblical scholars, and we had questions this morning, biblical scholars believe it was either one of two things. Either Solomon was wise enough to write from two different positions. He wrote everything about the teacher, and then he wrote it in this last perspective, and that's what he meant to do. The problem with that is that Scripture doesn't bear that out. Or he wrote all of the stuff, and then somebody else later came along and wrote it, coming back from exile. That it was Nehemiah or Ezra or one of them possibly could have written that in there, because the languages start to change. The Phoenician languages, it's a black hole you can fall into to look at. The point is, we know the answer to it because of the revelation of Jesus. So you can look at this and say what they were trying to do was take a book that is pessimistic and purely worldview and place the God into it so you can understand better how to see it. So whoever wrote those last words, and let's just say it's Solomon, at least gave shape to the rest of the book, and it didn't leave it as a book of despair.
Sure. And even the death and judgment, I know that sounds heavy, and it is. But think about what he says about better to be a live dog than a dead lion. And if you're listening to this, I'm going to assume today you're alive. So we have the choice today to choose how our lives are going to be. And I think that's the point. And I don't know if that point hits as hard if you don't understand death and judgment is coming.
Right.
I think that makes all the difference in, okay, well, today I'm alive. I can do some of these things. How am I going to choose to live, knowing that that's the end of the matter in a physical sense?
Yep. I mean, it just doesn't help a whole lot because he doesn't give a lot of shape to it. One of the conversations we had today in our thing was that even the rabbis struggled with this book being in the canon or in their canon, because they're just like, what
do you do with it?
Yeah, what do you do with it? And they'll put anything in there, feels like they love to argue and fuss and fight. So they really struggled with it because they just couldn't, the authorship, the challenges, but they're all in on it and it's there.
Yeah.
So here's my thought. I'll introduce it. This is more than any of them. I feel like I know where I'm going on Sunday. It's Jesus.
Yeah.
But it's a specific place in Jesus' story that's going to make that'll that I think is the perfect counterbalance to Ecclesiastes. And Sunday morning, we're going to read it, teach it, and then I'm going to bring that scripture online and use it as a compare and contrast so that we can see how Jesus taught to this worldview. Because I used to always struggle with triumphal entry. So we're going to back into Easter. How about that?
Okay.
As we move towards Christmas, the
Yeah,
triumphal entry. They gather around Jesus, and man, he's the one. Blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord. He is going to deliver us from Rome. So in their mind, they have a very worldview about the Messiah. He's going to save us. He's going to deliver us. He's going to do all of these things here and now. They celebrate him. They throw their cloaks down. They worship all of this stuff. The very first time Jesus is hit with a whip and blood hits the ground, those very same people go, "Oh, he's not the one."
wasn't it?
Because life under the sun says, well, if he's subject to bleeding and dying, that can't be the answer. Because they could not see past his death. They couldn't do it. And so what that did for me is to go, oh, their faith system did not have the revelation of Jesus. They didn't know the resurrection. They didn't know what was going to happen next. Here we sit, and we still, it's the same point week over every week, that they believed in Jesus because of the resurrection, because he had the power. He went past death and came back. So it helps me to understand the New Testament because they carried that very same point in. So you may be watching this today and you may be reading Ecclesiastes, or you may just be listening for whatever sake. And you're looking at death and you're like, what does that look like? Is it over? I'm going to tell you, a faith that holds to Jesus says, no, it is not. Right? But we believe that there is a judgment. And what we say about that is life in Jesus, believing in Jesus is to not all of a sudden start to do all these good things that make us worthy. It's to take his righteousness and own it. And it becomes our righteousness. Because none of us are making it without him. None of us.
Yep.
So by believing in him, then it gives us the ability to then have that eternal life. So there is life after death. In fact, there is no death when you believe in Christ. It's from life to life. And so then you realize that the work you're doing now, yes, it impacts then, but it impacts now because you have something to say to others that are looking at no life after.
Yeah, wrestling with these same things.
But it's the counterbalance to Ecclesiastes.
Yeah.
It's a great book of wisdom.
It absolutely is, yeah.
Causes us to think and try to find meaning, but know that you're not going to find it in anything other than Jesus.
Yeah. Think about the truth of what we've just studied in there. Think about then now how grateful you are for something like an answer like Jesus.
Yeah.
Because this is our reality apart from him.
Yep.
You know, unknown, that fear of what's going to happen, what's out there, what's next, what's going to happen to me, what's going to happen to my family, all those things that we all do have in us. Jesus is the answer.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds so cliche, but
it does.
Imagine a world where you're not worried about death. Now, I'm going to tell you, I don't want to die. I don't want my family to feel grief. I don't want my father to pass. We lost my mother not long ago, and there's a lot of pain and grief that comes along with that. But that's because of under the sun, right? Like the brokenness that we experience, that we were never intended to die, right? But because of the truth of Jesus, I know what that says about my mother as a believer and my father as a believer and me. So once again, back to everybody that's listening, there are things that you can resolve in your mind that will help you to know how to live today and what things you need to be concerned about and what things you don't need to be concerned about. Like, I think if you can put to bed what life after this is like, then what you can do is you can start working on the relationships with your wife or your kid or your husband or your kids. Because those things are what are going to drive how they feel and the decisions that they make. Right? I mean, Jesus was a master at all of these things. And the problem is sometimes we're making decisions as if it is only under the sun and we're trying to find meaning. And so we govern everything off of what we think. January series, Kingdom Rhythms. Sometimes we do something different because what we think is not right. Right? It's not about us.
Yeah.
Sometimes we forgive because that's a kingdom rhythm.
Yep.
Even though somebody has harmed us, we forgive them. Now we're going to take steps to make sure that we're not abused in scenarios, but we're going to forgive them because really we keep our own heart in bondage. And I'm just belaboring the point, but life under the sun is such a short-sighted way to view life and to make a decision based on enjoying your own things, your own time, and you're the only one that's going to provide meaning. It is truly meaningless.
Yeah.
Without a greater understanding of Jesus and why we're on this earth. What do you want to say?
You said it all.
No.
Are you glad we did it? Are you glad we did this study, this book?
Very glad.
Glad we're out of it.
We need Christmas. we need 6-pound, 8-ounce baby Jesus. No?
That's coming up. Yes.
Coming.
Yeah, that is coming. We're excited about that.
Do I wear a Santa hat in the next episode?
Yeah, we might do that.
How about an elf costume?
We might do a little decorating here on the set. You'll just have to tune in and find out next week. But don't miss this week. It's been I think, an awesome series. I know there's been some things to wrestle with. I've seen that even in my group, but I'd say last night was really everybody took away a lot of positive from it, in that understanding of what we can do with life today, perspective, worldview, kingdom view, God view. It's big.
And come Sunday, because we're going to craft a time in the service at the end of the service for us to just spend a few minutes preparing our hearts, getting ready for, the holidays, wrestling through worldview, God view, and just getting some names before us of people that we're thinking about, praying about. Could be yourself, could be your family, could be your children, could be a friend. But God has something to say about all of those things. It's easy to get a worldview on all of it. But once we give time and space for a God view, we might have a different approach to leaning into a space to love someone well, or to help them to see things differently. Those moments, I think, are going to mean different things to different people based on what we bring into the place.
Right.
But we know how difficult and busy life is, that we want to craft that moment in the service so people can have it.
Yeah. Yep. It's going to be awesome. So thanks for tracking with us. Next week, we're going to jump into Christmas, so that'll be a great time of year. We're excited about that. And I hope you guys have an awesome day. We'll see you Sunday.
Love y'all.